This is going to be done with any color. I was going to use the plain silver aluminum, but I don't know where it is. So this is the brown aluminum. It's actually antique copper colored. It's a really cool metal color, but it's listed as brown in Amazon. And this whole spool was like $5. I think I've been telling people to buy it so much they raised it to $8. See how much influence I have? Anyway, still a really good price. Let's take, not a lot. Let's take about this much. How much is this much? Okay, that's 11.5 inches, so it's like 24 centimeters. And where's my pliers? Aluminum is so fun because it's so soft. It's like you feel like it's too soft and you can't make anything firm, but you just mold it and shape it the way you want, and then once you hammer it, it becomes hard. It's kind of like clay, how clay is soft, but then you put it in the kiln, it turns to stone. So here's like a simple loop, right? And now we're just gonna, you just do whatever you like. I like to do this pattern. It's just kind of a snaky something or other. I like to make my loop come up a little more like that, but I do want this pattern to be a little diagonal. I don't want it to be just straight. I want it to be kind of, so maybe we'll pull that back a little. Okay, I think that is enough, and then we're going to do something fun with this end, so we're just going to leave that like that. Super simple. Looks like a snake coiled ready to strike. So let's get your little anvil. This, I actually found it in the earth exactly like this. I just had to like break out the dust around it. It's a geological formation that happens sometimes. Like it's called anviling when you find, it's just made in the rocks completely like this. I'm not making it up. This is the shape. It's made by nature. And legend has it that the original blacksmiths built their big anvils all for finding this structure and just copying it. So it's just nothing special, man. It's just copying nature. Anyway, take your little baby anvil, or get like any little hunk of metal that's steel that you can hit and it's pretty firm. You could get like a door hinge and nail it to a block of wood. But then you want to get some leather or something soft. I don't know. Whatever you want. You guys all have better ideas than me anyway. I don't even know why you're watching. You should just like start your own channel and I'll watch you. And then I'll be like, wow, those guys are good. But get like a piece of plywood. This isn't an old display. That's why it has these notches. I had necklaces on it, but I'm not using it right now. So you just put it on your lap and you start hammering. You can do it on the table. You can do it on the floor. But you want something soft underneath to absorb the pressure so you're not hurting your table or hurting the floor. Your lap is firm enough but soft enough that it absorbs most of the sound and the vibration. It actually doesn't hurt you. But, you know, you can do whatever you want. So I had a hammer somewhere. Now I need you to take out all that anger, that latent, furious wrath you have towards your stepmom or someone else in your life, and just start taking it out on the piece. How much do you hammer? As much as you want. You can hammer a lot, you can hammer a little, but basically if you take the roundness out and flatten it a little bit, that's where the strength comes in. If you want it smoother, I find doing less hammering, doing lighter hammering, and then going up and doing many passes will get it smoother. But if you really want some cool hammer marks, just pound the living daylights out of it and just kind of like sporadically swing the hammer wildly without aiming it, and then you'll get some really cool patterns. And if anybody comes near you, they'll pay the price and they'll learn, you know, not to mess with you when you're trying to make your jewelry. Jewelry artists have been feared the world over because of this, and you should join their ranks. It gets stronger as you hammer it, but at a certain point it gets so flat and thin that it starts to get weaker again. So it's that balance. You find it, and once you have that balance, then you teach others the way. And that balance might come from like climbing on a tightrope, you know, like standing on a very small stone on tippy toe on one foot, you know, whatever it takes for you to learn balance. But, you know, once you learn it, then you help others. And the way you help them is you help them to balance, and as they're trying to balance, you keep poking them and making fun of them until they learn to ignore your taunting. And that's where the real strength of balance comes in. This is an acceptable amount for me. Now you see your piece is going to start to move out of the shape you put it in, and you just put it back. You notice it's much stronger now that you've hammered it. It's going to be much harder to move, but still it's movable. It's not totally immovable. Now you pick some assorted beads that are going to fit. These are 4, 6, and 8 millimeter, my favorite sizes. The tiny 4, they're like the size of the head of a pin. The 6 are like the size of a green pea. And then the 8 are like the size of a chickpea or a garbanzo bean. I don't like that word. I like to say chickpea. That's because what I learned. Anyway, basically wherever they fit. So like this one only fits the 1, 4. This fits the 6 and the 4. This fits the 6 and 4. This fits the 8, the 6, and the 4. So it's like a fun progression. You don't have to do as many loops as me. You can do less. You can do it any way you want. But you'll have to adjust them a little bit so they fit better here and there. Unless you're like me, where they just fit perfectly the first time. So now that we have these, oh, and these are also, I'm alternating amethyst, pink shell, amethyst. So the pink and the purple, I feel like, go nicely with the copper, the dark copper color. Even though this isn't copper, it's aluminum, but it's the copper color. So now that I got them all arranged pretty, let's take them off and get off. Get off. Get a little tray, or just work on a cloth instead of this roly-poly table so your beads don't roll away. Alright. Now, you might not need this whole length. You have to decide how much of it you need. I'm thinking I want to take the whole thing. Maybe I'll cut off about half an inch, maybe an inch. I really think I want the whole thing, though. Like, I don't know. But let's generally... So it's trial and error. I've never done this before. I only did it in my head, like most of these videos. So now, we're going to take one of our amethysts. This is going to be fun. Let's see if this works. And we're going to hold it like this and wrap it. Ooh, this is strong. It's strong and slippery. It wants to slip out. It wants to slip out. We can't let it slip out. How do we do this? This worked in my head. Worked in my imagination. Now it's not working. Oh, not happy. All right, this is going to need a little more of a bend. Doesn't want to bend around the stone on its own, so we got to help it out a little bit. Okay. And come on, camera, seriously, like, stop being weird. I don't want to focus on the amethyst. I want to focus on this. There we go. No. There we go. Stop it. Anyway. That's better. Okay, so I'm gonna get some of these little corners out. I want to flatten them, make them so the whole thing is more rounded, because it was supposed to go right around the amethyst and it's not cooperating. I'm really annoyed. All right, I think let's try it now. Put it in there. There we go. Okay, so you got to kind of make it smaller than the amethyst and then squeeze the amethyst in there, or whatever your 8 millimeter bead is. All right, now let's try. Whoops. I just made a sharp corner I didn't like. All right, so the idea is, oh, bad, very bad. All right, so turn your 8 millimeter beads so the hole is facing out, because we're going to need to thread that, because that's not going to stay on its own, and I prefer not to glue it. All right. So I'm just going to do the rest of the wrapping without the stone, because the stone is really fighting me, and I don't want to like just get mad at it and start calling it names. So then you guys will be horrified. Why is he like this? I don't know. It's a lot of probably lack of therapy. All right, so this is curling this way. You see that? And now we're gonna twist it like that. Okay. And let's try it one last time. There we go. Well, it fits on top anyway, so that's kind of good. Does it fit all the way through? It's not going to stay. So we'll leave it on top for now. We'll just do our thing like that. So now we get 26 gauge, the real antique copper. It's the same color, but this is actually copper, where this is aluminum based. Either way, they're both coated. So we're going to take about a foot. And let's thread that amethyst in there before he causes any more trouble. Let's bring it to the middle of our wire. And how do I want to do this? Just do it easy. We'll just come around like this. Just go through here. Whoops. Pull that tight. You could do 28 gauge too. Just basically a very thin gauge is all you want. Okay, so we'll put this one through there. All right, that's a nice little spot. We can thread it in. Okay, I'm liking it now. I'm happy. Happier. Okay. I want both these to come up here. And I think I could fit these little 4mm in here. Before I do that, I want to thread it around that part once. Like that, see? Now I can put the little 4mm amethyst on there. Now I'm gonna just wrap this, move this one out of the way, wrap this kind of diagonally. Actually, yeah, till I'm ready to put my next, I think I'm ready. Okay, that wasn't much. All right, see how that doesn't fit perfectly? So we're gonna kind of mess with this a little bit until it fits the way we want. Actually, that's pretty good, but we want them in a straight line. So, there. I should give myself more wire. Look at, see how I ran out of wire already? Don't do that. I should have just left a very little amount on this side and had the bulk of it on the other side of the amethyst, so I could just keep threading it up. So now I'm like out of wire. Once you're at like 2.5 inches, you're out of wire, because now you got to just use it to you have just enough left to make a little swirl and anchor it somewhere. So come around here twice, make it nice and tight. Maybe we'll do 3 times. It's hard to balance the stones right in the middle, so I like them to pop up over the top a little more. All right, that's 3 times, and I'm just gonna make a pretty swirl, and that's it. Maybe I'll cut a little bit, a little more. Just do a little curly Q, and you can do 2 things with these swirls. You can tuck them in somewhere and use a bit of glue to, hide them, or if you feel like they'd be pretty on the outside, like an extra little touch, you can leave them on the outside. This one I feel like is going to add a nice little touch right here. So I'm just going to leave it right there like a cute little extra design. But swirls, like, just save so much trouble. So I'll glue that a little later. This one, I'm going to try to see if I can come up with this one and finish the job. Probably not, because I never give myself enough wire. But what it can do right now is it can come around here, hold this better in place, thread it around. We'll just thread around in between these 2 here. And now I'm in position to put my next beads. And you kind of figure it out as you go, because it's facing this way now. I'm gonna thread it around there before adding the littler bead, instead of just stacking them together. Sometimes it works one way, sometimes the other. Now, it's not just threading the beads, you're also strengthening the entire pendant and keeping it from, being able to be pulled apart. So I'm going to come back over here with that, and then I can come back up through here. It's not really secure. Let's come around one more time. All right, there we go. See, those 2 I just stacked right on top of each other, because that worked. And then come around here. See, if I give myself more wire, I can make a pretty scarf around that little loop there, but I have, like just enough left to do this last little 4mm amethyst, and then, so I'm lucky I'm gonna make it. But whenever I tell you to do a certain amount of wire, the rule is always add like 25% more than I said, sometimes even 50. See, that's not even enough for a curly Q. I'm just gonna make one little loop, like beginning of a curly Q, and then just so it has a little bit of bulk to it, and then just hide it around the back here. Just kind of tuck it in there. I'm just going to add a little E6000 on there. There we go. Make sure there's no scratch. Now, obviously, you can always add another piece of wire. Like, you're not helpless, but I like to do it all in one piece, and then I like to take not enough, and then I like to get mad at myself. It's just this ritual I go through. So I'm just gonna, I added this extra piece literally just to make a pretty scarf. So that's what I'm gonna do. And if you're, if you're, what's it called, mad at me about that, then, you know, just be mad. Just give me a mean comment about how mad you are, and I'll be like, if it's a creative enough comment, I'll be like, that's awesome. So scarfing is my favorite thing. It's so fun. Just wrapping and wrapping and wrapping, and it looks pretty, and it takes no intelligence or effort. So you just want to cut the end when you're ready, and tuck it in that little bowl you made by, see how there's like a little bowl made by the scarf. Now, knowing exactly how much to tuck, how much to cut, and how to tuck it, that takes a little practice, but once you get it, it's super fun too. And so now with this piece, I can go up even higher. I want to come up from the back so it looks like it's all, there we go, whoops, didn't work. Tuck in that last little sharp end, get it right in. Oh, you might need to cut it a tiny bit. Like, tucking the sharp end is a matter of like getting it to the, sometimes an exact millimeter, just to get the right little bit to just snugly go right in. But then, you know, if you're ever unsure, it might come out too. You can also add E6000 on this too, in the little scarfing bowl. Best to put it in the back where it won't be seen. Although E6000, if you do it right, it's very discreet. Like, it's clear. It just kind of dries like a little bit of glass if you don't rub it too much. If you rub it too much, sometimes it gets a little foggy. Okay, so I feel like this is good. Just see if there's any wire you want to hide by crimping it. Sometimes you want to, sometimes you can move wire out of the way if it's sticking in a place you don't want. Like, hide it in the back, crimp it, pull it tighter, give yourself, you know, tighten up some areas. But once you're happy with it, you can just throw some jump rings on there and find a willing victim to attempt to try it on. I also, when I'm all done, I'll press it against the flat table and just try to form the whole thing into so it'll lay flat on the person's chest. I'm also testing it for strength to see if there's any weak parts I want to reinforce at all. But this is pretty good. I mean, some of the beads are spinny, they're a little bit wobbly, but overall it's a pretty strong piece.